name is April Wright, and I'm the campaigns manager from DoSomething.org. And DoSomething.org is one of the largest organizations in the U.S. for teens and social change. And we do this by engaging teens in great cause campaigns that don't require money, a car, or an adult. So today I'm here to talk to you about getting millennials to take action with your organization. So when a lot of people think of millennials, they think, oh my gosh, they're so lazy. They just want to lounge on the couch, look on their cell phone, text with friends, probably not doing chores, or that they're sort of sloppy and don't care that they have pizza hanging down from their face, or that they're just technology fiends. I mean, like these two people on the screen here, they not only have their cell phones and laptops open and ready to use them, but there's also a television on in the background, and I believe that's even a Wii remote in there as well. Or my personal favorite is that they think teens and millennials are just super entitled, that they don't care what it is, they want it, and they want it now, and they want it immediately. And if you can't give it to them, they're going to get really angry and mad, like Veruca from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. But when I see teens and millennials and young people, I see a generation that is just super hyper-focused on making systematic change. Like there's this group right here who got together and collected over 11,000 books. And not only did they make this amazing fort out of books entirely, but they also gave these books to community members in need. I see the young people and the millennials over in the Middle East and North Africa who united together 18 months ago for the Arab Spring to overthrow and topple governments that were just no longer meeting their needs. And more closer to home, I guess, is I see the 99% who marched onto Wall Street, even in D.C. and across the country, to just say, hey, it's not okay that 1% of the American population has all the wealth, and we have rights too, and we have some serious issues that are going on, like student debt and the housing market and that sort of thing. I see a generation of people who just really want to get involved and really want to do it and connect with each other. So, whether it's a teen telling her friend, don't text and drive, or teens, coming together and collecting jeans for homeless people, or running e-waste drives and, getting those unwanted electronics out of our landfills so that there's no bad toxins hitting our environment, or even taking a stand and walking for clean water and making it known that it's a human right for all. These are sort of people that I see when I think of millennials. Or as we would say here at DoSomething.org, I see a group of people who are creative, active, wired. But they're also frustrated that our world is so messed up. So the big question that I'm hoping to answer for you today is, how do you engage this millennial generation? How do you get them to stop seeing your organization as a drag and something that they have to be forced to do, and start seeing your organization as something that's super awesome, something that they can build a relationship together, and with your powers and their power combined can be something completely awesome, like this Santa robot reindeer duo. Before I dive into 3 tangible takeaway tactics, I want to just say, before you get started on anything, you need to know your audience. And the millennial audience, millennial generation, is sort of unique because it has a wide age range. It's people from born in 1980 all the way up to 2000, and that's like a large subset of people, and it's not a one-size-fits-all, but I think there are some tactics that you can take that definitely will help your organization. So the first thing is their family and friends. They always go to their family and friends for any major decision: where to dine, where to shop, who to hang out with, what to wear. Should they go to this college? Should they go to that college? Oh my God, this is my first job. Is this a good job? Are these good benefits? And they're not just asking just one family member or one friend. They're asking multiple people. The other thing is, when they were asked on a Pew study what makes them unique, in an open-ended question, they wrote in technology use. They really think that technology is what makes them super unique. So this is definitely something you should be thinking of when designing any sort of volunteer activity that they can engage in. 79% of millennials use social media platforms. So they're on Facebook, they're on Twitter, they're on Pinterest, they're on Tumblr. You know, they're looking to connect with people. They think that being on these platforms really enriches their lives. And they're looking for brands and organizations who are also on the same space as well. And then as far as volunteering goes, or I'm sorry, pain points. Pain points, when we asked our Do Something teenagers and young people what their pain points were, the number 1 and 2 answers were paying for college and getting a full-time job. And these two are sort of interrelated, and they're obviously something to think about when trying to engage this market. And then some interesting volunteering stats. The first one is from Volunteering in America, and it's a cross-average sample between 2008 and 2010. And 21.4% is the average national volunteer rate for this generation. And now, granted, they're just looking at millennials 16 and up, but that's still a pretty significant number. So from our own study, the Do Something study, 93% of teens say they want to do something. And I'll get into this a little bit later, but there's one key thing that really gets them to do something, so hang tight for that. And then my 2 favorite stats from the Millennial Impact Report is 81% prefer to learn about volunteering opportunities through their peers. And then this one is great. 58% prefer short-term volunteer commitment. And so this will probably be one of my many dating analogies that I make throughout this presentation, but this totally makes sense. So say you're on a date, it's going great, you're having an amazing time, you're already thinking about date 2, date 3, date 4, and beyond, and you just can't think of having a better first date with somebody. And then all of a sudden your date drops a bomb where they're like, hey, will you marry me for life? Let's go get married right now. It would totally scare you away, and it's reasonable to think that if you attack the millennial generation and try and get them involved in a long-term, forever volunteer commitment, they're not gonna stick with you. You got to woo them first. You got to take them on multiple dates and buy them the steak dinner, and bring them roses, and just make sure that their volunteering experiences the first 4 or 5 times are just really super amazing, and then you have a volunteer for life. So here's the good news. Even though the millennial age range is far and wide, engaging them is not rocket science. You don't have to be able to solve the Big Bang Theory. I mean, if you can, that's amazing and great. But I think it can be boiled down really into 3 tactics that I'm going to talk about a little bit more today. So the first is you need to make it relevant, and you need to make it fun. Just like this guy in the seat, I would try to emulate him, but it would just be terrible. Volunteering should be a dance party. They should feel really excited and fun and happy to be doing it with you. And so how do you do this? I think the 3 things in this category that you really need to remember is research. You need to use your research and guide the campaign or the volunteer or the program to the best of its ability. You need to integrate technology where it makes sense. I mean, you don't want it to be a technology yard sale, but I think there are a couple key things that you can definitely do. And then it needs to be fun. And I'm not strictly talking about funny or humor, but I'm talking about something that it doesn't feel like a chore to do. So let the research guide you. Here at DoSomething.org, we always are driven by comprehensive research before we dive into any campaign that engages our volunteers. And we reach out to cause experts in whatever cause space we're working in or looking to investigate. We reach out to our Youth Advisory Council, who is a group of young teenagers and young people in college that really pave the way. It's like, you think after doing research, you're like, oh yeah, this is totally what the young people and teenagers are going to be interested in, and then you send it to them and you ask them their opinion, and like, no, that's totally lame. Why would you ever want to call your campaign paparazzi? Absolutely not. And then we reach out to other organizations in the space. And we use this research to really provide the framework of all of our volunteering and campaign opportunities that we present to young people. You need to ask your volunteers what they're looking for, whether it's an in-office experience, or it's an event, or it's volunteering at an event on behalf of you. You should be checking in with them before, during, after, or a combo of all of those three time periods. And think about setting up the advisory committee. One of the great things about millennials is they really want to be able to have a voice and share their opinions and share their thoughts. And I bet you would be really surprised that a lot of millennials want to kind of be your go-to and want to lend you some really great advice. But I think the most important point is that it's not enough to just do the research. You also need to use the research. And then you should incorporate some digital touch points. I'm going to talk about this a lot more, but there are some really creative ways that you can engage and integrate technology into your volunteering event, your organization, your campaign, whatever it may be. Hashtags are awesome. They can get you trending on Twitter. Just make sure that they're not hashtags that everyone and their mom is using, like Ask an Expert. That's not an effective hashtag. You can have people use their mobile phones if you're doing a volunteer event where it's like a mobile check-in through Eventbrite, or maybe Foursquare or Facebook check-in. Mobile donations are going to be a huge way to give money to organizations in the future. And photography. Never underestimate photography. I don't think I know one person who doesn't either A, have Instagram, or hasn't thought about downloading Instagram. Instagram is huge, and so think of ways that you can get people to take pictures on behalf of your organization and use a creative hashtag. Or if you're running an event, another untapped opportunity is having a photo booth. It's great. It's something that's really, really engaging, that people can get in the booth and be silly and goofy either by themselves or with friends, and then they get this tangible memory of the experience they had with your organization, and you can brand it. And you can also later put it on Facebook and have people come and find those pictures and tag themselves and engage with your organization there as well. And then fun. You should be putting the fun in your volunteering function. And there are some easy things that you can do to make your volunteering event or just a volunteering experience fun. I think free swag and promotional giveaways, I've run events, many events in the past, and I have seen people like mob us for the ugliest bag you will ever imagine with the logo that they will never care about, but they love getting free stuff. And so when you're doing this, make sure you do it smartly. It should be something that somebody can walk away and wear and showcase and highlight your brand and organization, like a bag or T-shirt or sunglasses, something that they're going to use more than once, or something that's not easily dispensable or lost, like a pen. Also use the buddy system. Even if you're just calling for volunteers to come into your office and help you copy some really important files, see if they want to do it with a friend. That makes the time fly by. It makes it a lot more engaging. They can gab while also doing your work, that sort of thing. And don't treat volunteers like they're expendable. They're not expendable. You should be introducing them to your staff. You should have staff going up and introducing themselves. These are the people that help you get things done on your limited resources. And these are the people that are, first and foremost, really, really passionate about your organization and the cause you support. So definitely make sure you are always engaging in that relationship with them. And then lastly, you can sweeten the deal, whether it's, metaphorically or physically. People love brownies and cookies, but, if you're going to have a volunteer come out, like, what can you provide them? So a great example of this is we have an event that always runs in conjunction with the Teen Choice Awards in LA. And this event is with Staples for Students. And we have teen volunteers come in and stuff bags full of school supplies that they can give to a local shelter. But we don't just have them stuff bags and go home. They also get free shirts. They get dinner. They get to hang out with each other and interact. They get to see any celebrity performance that's also there and interact with the actual event. So they get to be a part of the entire experience. A great example of a campaign that we run here that sort of encompasses all of these three things is Thumb Wars. And Thumb Wars is really tackling that issue of texting while driving. And what we found when we began doing the research is that teens have a super lackadaisical approach to texting and driving. I think it's something like over half of high school seniors admit openly that they text and drive, and it's because they think that nothing can happen to them. But we know here that texting and driving is actually super dangerous, and if you take your eyes off the road while you're driving 55 miles per hour, you're actually not able to see physically 100 meters of what's happening. So that's an entire football field that you lose because you've decided to text and drive. But a lot of campaigns that are out there and targeted towards texting and driving are just super scary and, really play up the fear tactics. And as I just said, teens don't think about this because they don't think that anything can happen to them. So what we created was ThumbWars. It's a cheeky, fun, but really informational campaign that addresses the issue without scaring people off or just taking an approach that teens aren't interested in. What they do is they go to dosomething.org/ThumbWars. They sign up and they get a pair of thumb socks. And then we ask them to take pictures with the thumb socks, funny, goofy pictures of them beating up their phone, get their friends to take pictures, share them online, and support the cause and share the stat on a whole. We also, to make it a little bit more fun, always have a celebrity involved. This year's celebrity is Harry Shum, and he did some amazing PSAs as well as super goofy outtakes that you can see online. So the number 2 tactic to really engaging this millennial audience is to make it social, to make it something that people can do with groups. Think about it. When you are playing on a sports team or just hanging out with friends and you put your hands in for a huddle and you get to chant something together, you really feel like you're bonding. And even if you win or lose, but preferably win, you really feel like you're part of something. And so that's sort of what making it social is all about, is giving people these opportunities where they feel like they're part of something. So I alluded to this a little bit earlier. When we asked our teenagers, what's the number 1 reason you don't get involved? The answer was because they weren't asked. And this sounds crazy and just wrong, but on the same line, it's super easy to fix. If this is the only reason why young people and teenagers and millennials aren't getting involved, this is not a hard hurdle to jump over. And so what we do here, and as you saw earlier, millennials really do go to their family and friends as a trusted resource, is we use that trusted resource. And we hang back and we sort of let friends ask friends. So on all of our campaigns, we have this thing called the Refer Friend Box. And the people who come to our site and love us and know us already put their first name, their cell phone, and then give us 5 friends' cell phones. And we send their friends, on behalf of them, a text that says, hey, I'm doing the Staples for Students campaign. I'm collecting notebooks and school supplies for people who don't have education equality like us. Do you want to join me? Their friends say yes. And typically, we've seen that this converts another 30% of users to get involved in our volunteer activities. If you want to see a great example of this, you can go to dosomething.org/Staples or any of our campaigns, because we definitely use this tactic a lot. You should also be creating group volunteer activities, volunteer opportunities that millennials can inherently do with others, whether it's in the office or at an event or a campaign that they can do together. I really think that a great example of this is charity walks and runs, and it's just sort of the cupcakes of volunteer engagement. Everybody is sort of doing it. It's very well known, but no one really complains about them, or no one really stops doing them, because secretly we all love the cupcakes. We love that there's 1 million cupcake shops to choose from. And the great thing about charity walks and runs is that it's both great for your organization and the people involved. And so from your organization standpoint, you get a lot of people involved. They're all raising money. They're all learning about your cause. They're all spreading awareness. They all band together and end up either walking or running and sort of, showcasing their achievement. And from the team standpoint, not only would I get to raise money on behalf of that cause individually, but I also get to raise it as a team. And I think the opportunity here to really get this really make it the best charity walk or run possible is to create passive competition opportunities. So what I mean is that, you know, we're a culture that really just loves to compete, you know, it doesn't have to be outward competition, but maybe you can pit a rival university against the other university and see who can collect the most, you know, blah, whether that's money or school supplies, or maybe it's by county, or maybe it's by state. I think the key thing here is to make sure that it's super local and super relevant to the group of volunteers that are doing it. And one of our campaigns that we run that's just amazing and really taps into this sense of volunteering and volunteering with friends is the hunt. And so the hunt is 11 days of doing. And what we ask teens and young people to do is sign up with a group of friends and hang out with us for 11 days. Each day has a different cause that they get to focus on. And at 11:11 a.m., they get a whole bunch of different tasks and clues that they can go out and do on behalf of this cause. So day 1 might be the environment, and day 2 might be animals, and you know, day 3 might be helping, you know, your elderly citizens or living below the line. And they come back to us and share pictures and all of the fun things that they get to do. And it's interesting, last year was the first time we ran this campaign. We had over 72,000 teens and young people involved in it, and they completed over almost 28,000 actions, daily actions with us. And I think a testimony to just how excited and how passionate people were to you know, get engaged and volunteer with this opportunity and do it with their friends is one day we were just a little bit late on sending out the clues and the missions for the day. It was like 5 to 10 minutes late. And all of a sudden we got all of these emails and text messages being like, hey, where's our clue? We really want to get going. We really want to get in the neighborhood and active and doing all of these good things for others. So if you want to learn more about that campaign, you can check out dosomething.org/hunt. So the last thing I'm going to talk about to you today, is technology. And technology is hot. And I'm going to be honest. You know, I looked for a really great animated GIF that would fit the technology platform, but I just couldn't come up with anything. So I sort of defaulted to Ryan Gosling as my animated GIF. And if by chance Ryan Gosling is watching this presentation or happens to find it on the internet, feel free to call or text, or save me from a moving vehicle, protect me from somebody trying to steal my purse, or if you just want to email me and say, hey girl, what's up, I'm totally fine with that as well. But I think the important point here with technology is that everyone is doing it. And so you really need to think, does your organization have a social media presence? Are you on Facebook? Are you on Twitter? Are you actively engaging your users on these platforms? Because if you're not, you should be. Earlier in the presentation, I shared a stat that 79% of millennials are on an online social media network. I found another stat, and quite honestly, I don't know which one is right, but this one says that 92% of millennials belong to an online social network. Whether it's 79 or 92, they're both really, really high numbers. I'm going to go ahead and put this somewhere in between at like, I don't know, 85. But either way, it's that millennials are there and they're looking for you and they want to be engaged. So the first step is to really get on social media. And then once you're on social media, or if you're already on social media, remember that you're not AP or Reuters. You shouldn't be purely a news source. For another dating analogy, I mean, you know, when you go on a date and you're talking with somebody and you're not really talking because all that's happening is that person is just talking at you and telling you how great they are and what they've done and what they've been able to accomplish, chances are you don't want to go on a second date. That's not a date you want to do over or see where it's going to lead, because you know, people want to be engaged and people want to, you know, talk in conversation, and that's the same thing about social media. So we have 4 rules that we really live by, whether it's on Twitter or Facebook. We have the 80-20 rule. You should only talk about yourself 20% of the time. And when you are talking about yourself, you should try and make it as relatable as possible. So one of the strategies that we have here to make it as relatable as possible is, you know, we highlight our staff members and we take a picture of them and showcase them and say, hey, this staff member is running the Prom for All campaign. Do you want to do that with us as well? You should also observe the world around you. One of our best tweets that we've ever had was when the world population hit 7 billion people. It was just us taking a fact, observing it, and sharing it with others, and this is our most popular tweet. It has nothing to do with teens, nothing to do with social change. It's just us being observant. You should also seek to inspire followers. We've found here that quotes, that picture quotes, are sort of all of the rage right now. They sort of just get shared like hotcakes, and people love to share them with others, share them on their wall, but that's sort of a way to inspire others and also get your brand name out there. And lastly, you should evoke emotion, whether it's surprise, whether it's excitement, whether you get somebody angry, whether you get somebody frustrated or concerned, or it's happy emotion. Everything you do on a social media platform should really sort of solicit that emotion. Now let's talk about nomophobia. I'm sure that many of you out there might actually have this phobia. It's the fear of not having a mobile phone. And this year, more than half of all mobile phones sold will be smartphones. So our phone technology is only getting smarter. And 59% of millennials own smartphones, and they're using them to stay connected and take pictures and download apps and play games and search the web. And so, building a mobile program and having a mobile strategy as a nonprofit organization and using this to engage, our volunteers and the millennials out there is definitely going to be huge. And I encourage you to start looking at it. But even if you don't have a big budget, there's one thing that you definitely should do. You should optimize your website for mobile phone and tablets, because teens, young people, millennials are all going to be looking up your organization on their mobile phones. See, I even have a fear of being without my mobile phone because I brought it into this presentation. Another strategy from a technology standpoint that we use a lot is texting. So about a year ago, we took a sample size of just defunct users who we emailed a ton but hadn't heard anything from. They hadn't engaged with us in a while. And we decided to text them. And in about 10 minutes, we got a 20% text rate back from them. They responded that quickly. And so we saw this happen and we're like, whoa, this is where teens and young people are at. We should be there too. And so we sort of pivoted our organization to definitely include a lot more SMS strategies, because it's a huge way to get involved and engage, our young people, and to the same extent millennials, because everybody gets text messages and everybody responds, or at least opens them. And specifically, what we've learned about teens and mobile is that teens send 3,337 texts a month. And the open rate for these texts is 97%. So even if, they're not responding to you or they say nothing back, they've definitely gotten that message. Specifically, we know here at DoSomething.org that with teens and mobile, they send along 3,337 texts per month, and there's a 97% open rate. So that means that pretty much every single text message that's sent along, they're looking at, and in most cases they actually engage back with us. I think we're at the point now where we've definitely taken this into consideration, built it in as a core function and strategy to our organization, and we have over 300,000 teens and young people that we communicate with all the time through text messaging. And they're 40 times more likely to get involved in our campaigns that way. A great example of this is a campaign we just recently ran called the Pregnancy Text. And so we all are familiar with, the messaging that is out there for teenage girls and not getting pregnant or practicing abstinence altogether. But there's not a lot of messaging that's specifically targeted towards teenage boys. So with this campaign, we gave teenage girls the opportunity to punk their guy friends and give us their numbers and impregnate their guy friend's phone with a baby for the day. The baby was super cheeky and a lot of fun, and would wake you up at 6 in the morning, cry when it wanted to be fed, and really sort of gave teens and young people the experience of what it would be like to raise their very own child. And I think over the course of the campaign time, we were able to impregnate or deliver over 100,000 text babies to individual phones. And with that, we saw a higher level of engagement too. We received over 170,000 unsolicited texts from teens and young people who decided that their baby was too cheeky and they just wanted to respond back. And to break that down a little bit further, that's actually one text every 20 seconds during the duration of the campaign. So this was sort of their overarching experience where, again, they would enter in 5 friends' numbers. The text would be sent. Your friend would get the baby. And then you and your friends would be entered to win scholarships. So how do we engage millennials long term? I mean, I think that, what I've broken it down into is just 4 simple values. And the funny thing about these values is these aren't values that are strictly, just for millennials. This is for anybody that gets involved in your organization, and I don't think anyone would expect anything differently. So the first is authenticity. People can really smell a rotten egg a mile away, so don't pretend to be something that you're not. Don't try too hard. Be very honest about what you know and what you need help with, and open up those doors for millennials to actually help you solve your organizational problems. Another value is relevancy and just staying relevant. So, when you think about letting millennials in, think about how your organization or cause is connected to them. Like, where can they do it? What can they do within your organization? Are there leadership skills that they can gain and put on their resume? What are those sort of opportunities and takeaways that a millennial can have? The other thing that's super important is gratitude. Again, this goes for anyone that gets involved in your organization. Did you thank them for their time? Did you thank them for their donation or their commitment? Because if you didn't, chances are they might not come back next time. People like to know that, what they brought to the table and their time commitment for your organization is worth it and valued. And the more you can give as far as gratitude and thanks, the more you'll see that people will continue to return. And then the last point, which, again, this is not something that's just for millennials, but I think millennials definitely hang on to this piece a little bit more. With the idea that we really are excited and passionate and idealistic in some ways, we want to know what the impact is. What were we able to bring about as a result of being involved in your organization? And so you really need to think about how you can communicate the impact. What you were able to collect or to make happen both individually and, overarching. So, hey, great, thank you. You were able to donate $10,000, and altogether we raised $1 million for, blood cancer. So that's been fabulous. And make sure that when you are thanking them, that impact measure is always in there as well. So thank you for joining today. I'm sure you guys have had hopefully a wonderful experience learning about how to keep millennials engaged in your volunteer opportunities. And if you have any more questions, feel free to contact me at awright@dosomething.org or tweet at me at April M. Wright.